Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, January 25th, and today I have a wonderful friend of mine, Jerone Davidson, who's going to be joining us, and he is running for Congress in Arizona District 4, and I'm so glad that I met him during the 2022 campaign cycle, met him when he was running then, and he's become a good friend of mine. I just believe in all of his stances and where he wants to go and what he wants to do when he gets to DC. And the difference that this man will make is astounding. He is a former NFL player. He is a pastor, an author, a father of 5, a grandfather of 3. And so please welcome me and join me in welcoming Jerone Davidson. How are you?
Oh, we're really blessed, excited to be on your show. Wow, this is great. It's looking great, Mary. I'm so excited to be here. Having a great morning, ready to share with the people our vision for a free future in America. Because as we know, freedom is at stake. The America that I grew up in, the America that you grew up in, those freedoms and those wonderful times, they're at stake for our children and grandchildren. And as you stated, I'm a grandfather, and I love my grandchildren, and I want them to have the wonderful years and the dreams and the freedom that I had in America. But what I'm seeing coming to the shores of America, and that's already in DC, it's really threatening and it's alarming. And I believe that's one of the reasons why I really got tapped on the shoulder by the Lord and by the people to get out here and fight for freedom.
Well, and the first time that I heard you speak, it was at our LD 25 meeting. It was before the redistricting. And I was just so impressed with your passion and the truth that I felt that was coming out of your mouth. I was hit with that. You're not a politician, you're a man of God, and you're a man of your word. And that's what really stood out to me about you, Jerone. And that's why I've stuck by your side and supported you throughout all of this. And I know you're going to be victorious this go around.
I'm certainly honored that to have someone of your stature, who's known to be a freedom fighter, who's known to be a America First fighter, to be standing with me, and to have the discernment to hear my message and to see me as a type of person who would keep my word, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, and last Saturday, I met up with you because you're working on having these super Saturdays to where we get 5,000 signatures on petitions in a day. And it's amazing. It was kind of a weird weather day here in Arizona. Then we had rain coming into the valley and stuff, but you had a large group of people who showed up, and I can only imagine it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I was door knocking that Saturday and talking about you to people and handing out your palm card, people were very excited to learn more about you. And we're definitely going to be going to your website and, glad to sign the petition to get you on the ballot. So I think that you're gaining ground. You're getting known.
Yes. Well, I dropped the greatest political ad last year with the Make Rifles Great Again. Yes. I am a strong proponent of the Second Amendment because I believe that's the only reason why we still have most of our freedoms today. And had we given up our guns like Australia did, we'd really be in a real predicament. Also, I'm the only candidate in the United States that's running on an Internet Bill of Rights, freedom of speech on social media platforms. And that's one of the ways that they were able to shift the elections the way they did was because they silenced the conservatives, but yet they gave the bully pulpit to the liberals. And, our message couldn't get out. Even to this day, Mary, when I send out email blasts, no one knows. No one knows because it goes straight to spam. Or if we're asking for money on the because don't forget about this. All the platforms, social media, even the paid platforms, even the Cash App, PayPal, all of those are ran by social media platforms. So it's not just freedom of speech on your Facebook; it's freedom of speech on the money as well.
Well, and the thing that I think of when I hear you talking about it, or anytime that I hear somebody say, that this has happened to them, that they've been censored or whatnot, is what are they afraid of? Why do they want to suppress us and silence us? Because we speak the truth, because we're fighting for the survival of our country, because we care about our fellow citizens. These are all the reasons why they want to silence us, Jerome.
Right. Just imagine they were saying that all the things we were talking about was a conspiracy theory. And then when it bore to pass that these things that we were talking about was true, did the media come back and give a retraction? Did they offer an apology to us? Did they tell their viewers that they were wrong and that we were right? No. Their whole thing is that they want to go out and even more censor us, that they want to take away the freedom of speeches because they talk about incorrect information, misinformation, disinformation, and they're the proponents and perpetuators of it. And that's why I'm really tired of it. We need to go to Congress. We need to send me to Congress with the Internet Bill of Rights and to stay the hand of this censorship, because really Title 230 is giving them not only the permission not to be sued, but we're giving them money, which they already have plenty of money. And also in my Internet Bill of Rights, it's a way for people to be monetized. All the stuff that you're doing on your cell phone, all the stuff that you're doing right now, even this show, the data from this show is being sold by the platforms and they're making trillions of dollars. This is the biggest commodity in the world, not oil, not gold, not cryptocurrency. Data is the biggest currency in the world. And so what I'm saying in the Internet Bill of Rights is that we are the ones that are creating the data. We should receive a payment from it. If we don't receive a payment from it, we should opt out and no one should make any money off of it. And I have grandparents, even my mother could use a little $500 or $600 more a month.
Right. Well, and it's amazing because they use it like I was a victim of this. Back in 2020 at the RNC, I had flown, it was COVID, but I had flown back to DC and taped a immigration speech to be shown at the RNC. And the day that speech was supposed to be shown, I retweeted. It was 60 threads long about the Federal Reserve. And I had done some research about that previously, like in the weeks leading up to that. And so I knew the history of the Federal Reserve and the people behind it. And that's what I kind of was liking about this thread. Not having gone all the way down 60 to where it was getting a little conspiracy theorist. But the Daily Beast decided to write an article that I'm an anti-Semitic angel mom speaking at the RNC, and they canceled me immediately. The power of the internet and how that went worldwide in a matter of hours was unbelievable. And so now when you Google my name, that's all you find. You don't find all the good things that I did. They have altered my life and they have stripped me of the progress I was making because this has taken center stage on the internet. Right.
And our politicians have got to do a better job of protecting the freedoms of Americans when we come to this. Because think about it, Mary, your program here could get more traction. It could get more attention, have more viewers, but they have this, what they call shadow banning. And if it has anything about conservativeness, anything about Trump support, anything about traditional marriage, anything about the Bible. Did you see that recently about Joe Biden going after people who purchased the Bible? They want to know who purchased the Bible. Why are they doing that? Why? Because they want to prosecute and persecute those who have Christian faith. Christianity is under attack in this country. And I do believe that I've been tailor-made and through my experience of 30 years as a pastor, serving the people, being at their bedside, counseling their families, counseling them before marriage, counseling them during their marriage, praying for their family while they're in the hospital, being near and close to the people and having their heart and feeling their heart. It's made me sensitive to the needs of people for 30 years. And now I've also learned policy. I've also really brushed myself up on the Constitution, and I'm ready to represent the people. And this is what we need. This is a spiritual battle right now. And I believe that as a man who has fought spiritual battles for 30 years, a man who knows the constitutional rights of the people are the things that we need right now, not some person who can make money, because we have plenty of those people in Washington and they can't seem to get enough. Right. No amount of money is enough for them. I think Nancy Pelosi came out with $200-something million. And so we need to do some investigating on whether these people are investing illegally or whether some of that money is being laundered back from Ukraine.
Well, and the greed and the need for money and power and to be able to say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a billionaire, I'm rich, and to feel like you can throw your weight around in any given situation is so much more important to these people and these
Yes.
elected officials and these
Right.
bureaucrats. I mean, these people who are put into positions without being voted in by we the people. They're
Yes.
put into these positions. And that's what I like about you, because I can be around a lot of politicians. And let me tell you, Jerone, I was in DC a lot, during Trump administration with the Angel Families movement and being back there with the congressional members and the people in the Senate and going into their offices. And if you're quiet and you allow yourself to feel and hear what is really happening around you, you can walk into a representative's office and you immediately feel the veil of evilness come down on you.
You could feel that slime.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and there's a lot of that back there, let me tell you. And there's a lot of them who will lie to your face. They have no problem lying to your face and turning
Yes.
around and doing the complete opposite of what they've said to you. A grieving mother, mind you, and making promises to make sure that this doesn't happen to another family. So, because you're a word of God, a man of God, and because you preach the word and everything, I think that would be a lot harder for you to do, to face people and lie. And even if it's uncomfortable, I've heard you answer people, even if it's uncomfortable, but it's always the truth. And that's what I appreciate
believe
about you.
that's right. I believe people deserve an answer. And the things that I answer, I'm answering because of my belief system. And I vow to God, and I vow to myself, and I vow to the people that I will never, ever turn down my beliefs. Well, my beliefs are not being forced from my congressional seat if I do make it there. I'm not going to force my beliefs on the people, but I will keep freedom. I will enforce the Constitution. I will enforce the rule of law, and I will answer any question as honestly as I possibly can. I remember doing that debate last year at PBS right here at downtown. And they asked me, what did I feel about the elections? And I told them exactly what I felt about the elections. And a lot of people thought that was very bold, and I stood up for that. I said, if you're thinking that I'm not bold, you don't know me. Yeah, you haven't met me yet, or maybe you haven't seen my video, or maybe you haven't heard me speak. And this is exactly what we need right now. We need boldness to stand up. I think the Speaker of the House, Johnson, he needs, he's a Bible guy and he's a man of faith, but he needs more boldness. He needs more courage, because he needs to stand up for the American people. And there's no way we should be sending more money to Ukraine, and our borders are crazy. What's happening is just insane. But they don't seem to really take that to heart right now, and I'd like to see that.
Well, and they don't have a problem sending money to Israel, Gaza, any other country that you can mention to protect their borders and keep their people safe, when in the meantime, we've got open borders here, and you've got a Supreme Court that just ruled that the Border Patrol can continue cutting the concertina wire that Texas has put up. And you've got a country that is sideways. You've got some, court justices who are interpreting the law instead of enforcing our laws.
Yes.
And looking to the Constitution for the answers to the cases that are brought before them. And this is not a time to be silent. And it's not a time to pussyfoot around and sugarcoat things to people because you're afraid they're going to freak out or you're going to hurt their feelings, because this is a pivotal point in the history of the United States of America. And we do need strong people.
We're in the position that we're in, Mary, because of weakness. Yes. Because people didn't stand on their own beliefs because they're afraid of what the woke left is going to say. Well, it's time to stand up against that. If they want to call me a racist, if they want to call me an Uncle Tom, if they want to call me a coon N-word, well then so what? So be it. Those words, those are just your words. But I promise you, although I'm a pastor, I'm a former NFL player, and I still lift weights. I bench press close to 400 pounds. I'm always working on these hands. I'm always working on my self-defense. And if one of them hit me, I'm going to do what Jesus told me to do. I'm turning their other cheek.
Right.
I'm going to defend myself.
As we all have the God-given right to do, right?
Yes.
So I was reading on your website, which that you say there's 4 points that stick out. We already talked about the Internet Bill of Rights, but you talk about protecting prosperity and freedom, protecting the border, and protecting children in education. Tell us more in a little bit of detail about those points and why those are so important to you.
Well, protecting children and freedom. America has now become the largest sex trafficker and human trafficker in the world with our open border. And Joe Biden did something with him. Did something that all of America should pay attention to, and it should be blasted out there. That when they was checking the DNA at the border, that was giving them swab, and it was checking to see if the person that was with them was their parent. Well, Joe Biden stopped that. He removed that so that the children cannot be verified as to who they're with, whether those people are their parents or not. Why did he do that? Well, I believe in protecting life in the womb. I believe in pro-life. I believe that in life at conception. I believe that God has a plan for every child. And when I look at it from a biblical perspective, there was only 2 events in the Bible where humanity wanted to kill babies on a mass level. One of them was King Pharaoh during the time of Moses. And the other one was King Herod during the time of Jesus Christ. Well, that lets you know that there was a spiritual attack that was coming, trying to block these 2 deliverers that was coming. So I want to protect children. I want to protect education. I believe that people in lower income areas, Black children, lower income children, Black and brown children should have the right of school choice. And also that we shouldn't be teaching anything about racism. We shouldn't teach morals in public schools. You leave moral teachings up to the children, up to the parents, and up to the churches. And so protecting children also includes parental rights. Parental rights when it comes to education. They should have a say in what's being taught at the school instead of having these drag hours come in. And really, I looked at the statistics on the drag queen things. Those guys are not even, they're not even gay. They're not even transgender. They are pedophiles. Most of them are pedophiles. And they even have records of being pedophiles. So we have to protect the children. As far as protecting prosperity in America, stop spending. We need to recoil and reconnect to our own energy production right here in America. When Joe Biden unplugged the oil production and started depending on foreign oil, gas prices went crazy. Yeah. And with gas prices going crazy, it takes gas to take a truck to the grocery store. So now they got to pay, they have to be compensated for that. So everything just went crazy and inflation went up, and they were doing some crazy spending and still sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. And also we're taking care of grown people, millions of them crossing over this border. You know what happened with the rent? I was telling the students at Arizona State, I said, your rent, how's your rent? And it's like, man, it's crazy. It's too much. I said, you know what? It's going to keep going up because the government is subsidizing and paying for the illegals to come here. And the landowners, the landlords, of course, they're going to increase their rent if the government is going to give them this money. Well, in the meantime, you as a worker and as a person who's supporting yourself, you got to go out and get another job because the government isn't subsidizing your housing. They're not paying for you. And so although you want to have apathy and sympathy for the people that's coming into the border, it's making your life unbearable and unlivable.
Well, and when you see the types of people who are crossing our border, that's where, you got to do a reality check. In times when it's amnesty is needed and people are fleeing their countries, it's children and women who are fleeing there in droves because they can't defend themselves. But this is fighting age men coming from all over the country. And we just had a video surface of a released terrorist who had been in prison for 12 years in a foreign country for terrorist-related activities, has just crossed the border into the United States and told the guy who was filming him, you don't know, you're too stupid to know who I am, but you will find out who I am. These are the types of people that the Biden administration is allowing to flow into our country. And
I don't know what the end game is. I don't understand what the end game is, but there's 3 possibilities, and maybe they're a combination. One, they want to use them for voters. Okay, they want to steal the American voices and take away the power of our vote by watering it down with these people who are here illegally, who knows nothing about this country except for the sandwiches and the milk and the food and everything that we're giving them for free. That's what they're enjoying. And so the second one is they want to fundamentally change the country. Changing the country by giving them continual and perpetual power. And then finally, this is what they call a takeover. Joe Biden said this in a speech. He says, after pretty soon, the Hispanics are going to outnumber you all, and you're going to be working for them or something like that. And he was talking to the Black community. This is what he's telling the Black community. You guys are going to have to learn Spanish. You're going to have to learn to listen to them, because they're going to come over here. And so he said he was going to do this, and they want to fundamentally change America. This is a repopulation program.
Well, and it's a redistribution of wealth, because I was talking to Andy Biggs on my podcast Tuesday, and I did a lot of deep diving into the United Nations, Jerone, and I found this one site because I'm a big proponent of remittance tax. So, the money that these illegals send out of our country, out of our economy, into their countries, it was $669 billion last year, and it's set to be about $674 billion
in 1 year
that will be sent out of the United States to their home countries. And on the United Nations website, there was a page that I went to about 8 reasons why remittances are good. And number 5 mentioned that, and it's all about the 2030 agenda and, redistributing the wealth. And this money is necessary to go to these countries to build them up out of the poverty that they're in. And so basically what the United Nations has taken on to themselves is they will tell us how the population of the world needs to be. They will be the directors of the redistribution of wealth. And as American taxpayers, we just need to shut up and take it. And we need strong leadership that's going to put a stop to this, get us out of the United Nations. The United Nations is actually using American taxpayer money to give to these illegals down in Panama, down in those countries surrounding the Darien Gap, giving them the directions of how to get up here. They're in the thick of it, Jerone, and they're using our money that the United States gives to the United Nations. They're using that money to help facilitate the invasion of our country.
Yeah, I was all in agreement with President Donald Trump when he was talking about pulling out of the UN. They don't do anything for us except for take our money. And the other nations of the world are paying 30, maybe 3%, and America's paying, the rest of the bill. For what? To have anti-Israel and anti-America policies, to treat us like we're nothing and take our money. I'm totally against it. I'm completely against it. They're using entities like WHO, the World Health Organization, and all of them to take away the sovereignty of this country. So absolutely, I totally agree with you. Pulling out of them, I believe President Donald Trump is going to do it this time. I definitely hope he does. And if he does do that and I'm in Congress, I will support that 100%.
Yes. And I envision you in DC as a voice of reason and somebody who can work with people on both sides of the aisle, because you have a way of gently and calmly explaining to somebody the fallacy in the way of their belief, they're believing and the road they're going down in policy making, and you're strong. But I also see that soft side of you that's able to come across not in an angry, mad, bullying kind of way. You've got a way about you, and I really think we need more people like that in DC, because a lot of these issues that are facing the country, Jerone, it's not a Democratic or a Republican issue. Just like they say that about the border all the time. Every issue that our country is facing is not a party line issue. It's an American issue. And people need to get a sense of logic and really start voting the way their constituents want them to vote. Because I guarantee you, if you poll the people, from these Democrats and some of the crazy conservatives, and you poll the people that they represent, is this how you would have wanted them to vote? I bet you resoundingly the answer is going to be no. Right.
That's why I know that I can beat Greg Stanton. I mean, Greg Stanton has had an undefeated record against every Republican that has gone against him. Right. And I believe that we need to tell these other Republicans to take a seat. You've had a shot at him. You've taken a shot, you had your chance to do it, but you lost. And we can't afford a loss this time. We need to win the seat so we can go in and have a majority in Congress to support the policies that President Donald Trump is going to bring. People got to understand, this isn't a party deal. This is really a freedom deal. This is a humanity deal. And the type of entities that we're fighting against and we're dealing with are people who hate humanity. They want to depopulate us. They're going after our food supply. They're attacking our farmers around the world simultaneously. When you see thousands of cattle just dying out of nowhere, millions of chicken being killed because they say that it has a virus, and they're paying the farmers to kill their livestock. You have people like Bill Gates buying up hundreds of millions, hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland to vaccinate or put his vaccine into our food supply. You have people like Nestle, who are the Nestle family, buying up our water supply and telling us that human beings don't have a right to water. So we need people like myself who can see this thing as an attack against humanity, not against Republicans, not against Democrats. This is an attack on humanity, and we have to preserve it. And I could beat Greg Stanton on every platform. For one, he's placed children in harm's way by allowing the trans bathroom bill to take place. He supported that. Little girls are being raped by men who are confused in their sexuality. And then you also have him supporting women in men's sports, and women are being injured, and they're losing their records and losing opportunities to go to college on a full-ride scholarship, to have access to the records that they're breaking because they're going against a man. It's not fair and it's not right.
100%. I agree with you on that. So is the Internet Bill of Rights the first thing you want to do when you get to DC? Is that one of the first bills that you're going to work on? What are some of the other important things that you think, that you've thought about that's needed in that, and that you'll be good at getting past?
Immediately, we have to close the border. Because, without closing that border, nothing we're going to do is going to matter anyway, because those people are going to be used as voters to suppress the voice of conservatives like you and Americans who are concerned about our freedom. So we have to close the border. That's exactly when I have to close the border. I want to protect our farmers and our farmland. Our food supply has been under attack. Another thing I want to do is I want to stop Blackgate, the finance company, from purchasing up all the property, as well as China.
BlackRock. Yeah, just having a brain. BlackRock is buying up all the property, and it's causing the cost of housing to go up. China is also purchasing a lot of property. I know a church who put their church on the market, and it was available. Somebody made an offer the first day, and I talked to the pastor. I said, and they told me, I said, I guarantee you it was a Chinese person, and they were shocked that I said that, because it was. They're buying up any and all available commercial and residential property. And we need to put a limit on that. I'm for free enterprise. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely a free enterprise person. But when you have foreign countries that are enemies of ours buying up our food supply, our property, and stuff like that, we have to put a limit on it. So the first thing I want to do is go after closing the border and reversing the economy, because people have a hard time, making ends meet. They're living on their credit cards. And so those are the first things I'll tackle. But I will wage a perpetual war on these tech titans. You can rest assured of that. Amen. Yeah, and kind of going a little bit more on the housing situation, because I've been a realtor for decades. But you have Klaus Schwab at the WEF, World Economic Forum, talking about you will own nothing and be happy. And when you look across the valley, Jerone, at the amount of apartment buildings that are being built, that's what they want. They want people to sell their homes. Investment companies buy them up. We don't let individual home ownership happen anymore. And people are all going to live in apartments. They're going to create 15-minute cities to where you're controlled. They know everything you're doing, where you're going. They're going to tell you how much gas you can buy in a month. People think this is a joke, but this is exactly where they are moving at a slow, steady pace. And we are the type of people who would stand in their way. And this is why they have to be on the attack, and they have to constantly be, telling people all the reasons why we shouldn't be put into office. And the majority of it is lies, because the truth is the truth about people like you who are running for office. The only thing that can make a difference is if they tell a lie about you and people go, oh, geez.
Yeah. See, it's a conspiracy theory until it happens. They think it's a conspiracy theory until it actually happens. And then the media has a way of not even talking about it anymore. I'm sure that in Noah's day, Noah, he was building this boat and there never rained before. And he was talking about something called rain. And the people was probably calling you a conspiracy theorist. And it was a conspiracy until it started raining. And when we start seeing our freedoms slowly taken away through mask mandates, forced inoculations, you can't go to work, you can't fly a plane, you can't travel, you can't go to church. These type of tyrannical actions are showing us what is really at the heart and really under our feet, and it's been there for a long time. And I'm thankful that President Donald Trump came along, and just being on the scene, just being president was enough to cause the beast under our feet to manifest and to show us that the FBI is not for us, to show us that the CIA isn't for us, to show us that our government that we're paying all these taxes to is not for us. Yeah. The government is for itself and it is for the world. But we need to get in there right now and with the policies and with the president who has the gall and the fortitude and the strength and the desire to do it. Let's get in there right now and reverse this ship, because if we don't, it's going to go off a cliff. If we don't start getting people like Jerone Davidson, people like myself in there who are going to have conservative values and fight for the people and be accountable to the people, because I'm all about returning power to the people. I'm the only candidate in this race, even last year, was talking about doing something for CD4. I have a vision for CD4. I'm not just, my vision isn't just going to Washington. My vision is representing the CD that I represent. I want to make this the reddest CD in the state, in the nation. I want us to be the most conservative. I want us to be the most politically astute. I want us to return to faith and family. I want to put in, I want to know who's on the judges. I want to know what type of judges we have, the coaches, the teachers. And these are the things that's going to assure that our district is strong, but nobody else is talking like that. And so this is the type of leader, this is what we see, that the leadership that we've lacked, because we send someone to Washington, we don't hear from them again until it's time to reelect them. No more of that. Right. I want to be in and near the people, and we're going to have many, many functions. I'm talking about, we're not just going to wait for our MCRC. We're going to have a lot of functions within our district, and we're going to come together and we're going to know each other. And definitely we're going to know who's conservative and who isn't. And this is what I want to ask the people, to be very discerning. And here's one of the ways that can help you be discerning. When you go to people's social media and you look on their social media and all they're asking you to do is just elect them. They're not standing up for any issues. They're not even upset about the false prosecution of President Donald Trump, all of these fake charges. They never say anything about it. These people are the type of people you need to avoid. And yet they're telling you they're fighters, but they're not fighters. And, you know, I played football, and the coaches always tell us the way you practice is the way you're going to play, baby. And if you're not practicing it right now, when you get into the game, you're going to do what you've always done, and that is nothing. When Mike Pence was President Donald Trump's vice president, and it was getting time for him to send those electors back to the states because there was some things going on, some too many anomalies with the election. We wanted to know that what was going on, right? You know, that the states had changed the voter laws without going through legislation. That's unconstitutional. So he and everybody was like, "Oh, Mike Pence is going to do it because he's a Christian. He's going to do it. He's going to do what's right." And I was looking. So I went to his Twitter account and I started looking up and down his Twitter account for years. And I was like, "Wait a minute! This guy never mentions any of the evils that they're going against President Donald Trump." I said, "He's not going to do it because he's not a fighter. He's a spineless jellyback dude that is there to get power and have a name. And surely he turned his back on us and stabbed us in the back."
Right. Right. You know, and something that you said, return the power to the people. Isn't it sad that that's where we are at a point in this country that we actually have to say we're going to go there and we're going to return the power to the people, because it's we the people throughout the Constitution, you know, anything. That's what the founding fathers created this country on, was we the people. We are the people making the decisions. And yet if we stand up to anything, you know, you've got a result like January 6th. People, you know, 3 years later are still languishing in prison with no hearing, no nothing. And the whole basis behind that, Jerone, I believe personally, was to scare the bejeebies out of everybody to where you're not going to stand up against us. Because if you do, you will be thrown in jail and will lose the key and nobody will hear from you again. And so a lot of people who had, maybe weren't as strong as you are, but who had a fight in them, we saw those flames being extinguished because they're afraid. You know, they're
Right.
afraid of
Yes.
a tyrannical government doing whatever
I,
they want to us.
I was at January 6th. I was there because what happened is when I saw the crazy things that happened, the anomalies that happened, the shutting down and stopping the count simultaneously from Pennsylvania down to Georgia to Arizona, and Arizona called it early, but then they shut it down and said, oh, we're going to start and continue tomorrow in Las Vegas, all these different places. We had never seen anything like this. We had never seen anything like this. And so I was one of the first people out at the Arizona Tabulation Center, and I was out there raising my voice at the people and telling those people in the building, because they had put a fence around the place. They fenced themselves into our building. It is the building of the people. But yet you put a fence around it to secure you because you feel threatened because we didn't have a transparent election, and we deserve that. So we need to get rid of the machines. We need to get rid of the people who are the supervisors on the board. Well, I call them the board of serpents. Yeah. Because they don't represent the people. And so, yeah, when they put that fence around there at Washington, D.C., and fenced themselves in and got the National Guard and making them sleep in the parking structures instead of giving them a nice hotel. Look what they're doing for the illegals, giving them nice hotels, giving them all types of accommodations, giving them money while you make our soldiers sleep in parking structures. This is how Democrats operate. They're really hateful towards Americans.
It baffles me how people, you know, even when they were talking to voters up in New Hampshire during their primary just yesterday, the other day, Tuesday, that they would even still support Joe Biden and the Democrats and they're like, oh, the economy's great. Oh my gosh, oh, the border's secure. How are people actually living that reality? How? Unless they're absolutely not paying attention.
Well, this is what we see. We have the college kids who are being indoctrinated in the schools with hate America and love the world otherwise. You hate America, you hate the country. They've been indoctrinated. They're like zombies. Then you have the open border.
Are you experiencing that over at ASU when you're walking around and talking to the kids going there?
Yeah, but I'm an outgoing and outspoken Black dude. You understand it? It's hard for them to you know, it's hard for them to out talk me. You know what I mean? It's hard for them to do that. And before I know it, I got the audience. I'm the one talking. You're gonna sit down and listen.
But you are hearing them say these type of indoctrinating statements and stuff.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And some of them, do I support Israel? And it's like, why do you support Israel? Yeah, I support Israel because I believe in self-defense. Okay, if you attack me and then I hit you back, it's not my fault. You never should have hit me. So, you know, Hamas attacked them. And they're worried about the retaliation of Israel. And even Joe Biden is trying to stop them too. But I knew that. Joe Biden is really not Joe Biden. Joe Biden is Obama. Obama is the one behind this because he's a Muslim. He hates this country. And he has a dual allegiance in several ways. He has a dual allegiance because his father is from Africa. He has a dual allegiance when it comes to his faith. And he has a dual allegiance when it comes to his sexuality, because Obama is a known homosexual. He wrote it in his book that he was having sexual complications and desires towards men. And so those are his three allegiances. And we see that operating today, but that it's America last and it's other nations first. It is the open border. It is people can come in here but America means nothing to him.
It's sad. But yeah, you know, I've said all along too, it didn't make any sense why him and Michelle would buy a place right there in DC and stay so close. You know, because when you've been the president for 8 years, just like, you know,
you're ready to go.
Adios, and we're out of there, and we're going to go, you know, spend our life in Martha's Vineyard in our mansion that we just bought, right?
Right. Yeah. He is the trouble to this country.
Yeah.
He has been troubling this country. He's doing it. And it would be nice once we get into Congress to subpoena the records of his visitation records to the homes who's meeting him in Delaware, who's been coming into the White House, because unlike President Donald Trump and unlike presidents prior to him, there's a record of who's visiting the White House. Right. His stuff is sealed. They won't even allow us to even see some of this stuff. Of course, they release some people, but not all. Right. And so this is a threat to the American security. We don't know who's visiting this man. We don't know who's controlling this White House. And of course, his mental capacity isn't there. So I'm worried about who's directing him. And I believe that it's Obama.
A lot of people feel that way, Jerome, that I talk to. It's like Obama 2.0, right?
Yes.
Having his third term and enjoying every moment of it. But
right.
What do you think is the United States' greatest challenges right now, besides the border?
Oh, the greatest challenge right now is the economy. The greatest is the economy, getting the nation turned back around. And racial division, racial tension. I think that's really big. But the biggest problem for America right now, just to be honest with you, is the Democrat policies. Their policies are what's destroying the country. And I believe the country can see the great contrast, right? Because when President Donald Trump was in office, the problem was him. It wasn't his policies. The media had a personal bias towards President Donald Trump. They had a personal bone to pick with him, but his policies kept us free. His policies kept us out of war. His policies closed our border, and everybody reaped a harvest. Okay.
Yeah.
But as soon as the Democrats come in and they begin to enforce their policies and worship for the weather and all of this stuff, and worship for strange sex and sexual this and sexual phobias and all this stuff, they even did this thing on the White House with the flags on the White House on the people's house. It was just it's crazy. So to me, the greatest threat to America and the problems that America is facing right now is Democrat policies. Just think about it. We started having inflation. They're super spending. We had chain supply issues. We have war problems. I mean, just everything. It's the Democrat policies that's hurting this country. And if we were to pull out all of the Democrats and remove their policies with them, America would be prosperous. We would be booming. And the racial tension and the sexual tension that's going on, you wouldn't even see it. It's kind of like, it would be like getting rid of the devil.
Right. You know, what's so funny, during the Obama administration, that's when the whole, cop hate rhetoric started, because Obama was the facilitator of all of that,
Yes.
And it was during the Obama administration that my son was killed. And I wrote to him twice, and I was even in DC, a block from the White House, having lunch with friends, when I hear that he has illegal teachers at the White House, having a meeting with them, and would not meet with angel moms by any means. But, the border was an issue back under Obama.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you look back through history and the recordings, on news stations or from C-SPAN or whatever, the things that Obama and Biden, especially Biden, said about illegal immigration, back when he was a senator.
Yeah, I remember seeing those clips.
And it's like, how do you fundamentally change? Those are not the types of things that change with you overnight, Jerone. Those are things that you're lying about because of something that's happening with the bill or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This tells you what? That they are coming in line with the globalist agenda.
Yes.
Okay. It's not, they've really departed from the Democrat, and the Democrat policies were already pretty bad, right? So when you see them opening the society, open the border, that's the George Soros thing. That's for the Bilderbergs. That's for the bankers. That's for the Rothschilds. This is for these evil people who want to remove America, because America is the last gem and the last beacon of freedom for the world. Okay. And if America goes down, well, then the whole world is going to go down, and everyone's freedom is taken away, because these tyrants are very tyrannical, and even including that dude up there in Canada, the real sissified man.
Trudeau.
He's a real punk. Yeah. I want to see them get rid of him. And I think their Supreme Court just overturned some of his policies, and I'm happy for the people of Canada. And we should all just be and enjoy our freedom. See and be aware of any policies that are coming to take away those freedoms, whether it's gun rights, whether it's right to marry, whether it's right to travel, whether it's right to have a job, whether it's right to decide to get a shot for your body or not. When the government starts getting involved in these little nuances of everyday life, well, then they've overreached their authority. The government, the federal government, their authority is very limited, and it should be very limited. But every time the Democrats get in, they expand their authority, and in expanding their authority, we have to pay more money because we have to pay for all these governmental oversight over this and over that committees, and it costing us a lot of money. I'm for shrinking the government. We need to shrink a lot of these things and let the American people live their lives.
Well, and America runs smoothly. The way that our Constitution's written, a person wants to own a business, you hire employees, you pay them, people pay their taxes, we grow food, we supply it to the stores. And it's when these globalists decide, yeah, we need to get in there and like start stirring stuff up and stop these people from living such a good life. I mean, what is wrong with the way America was? What needed to be changed? Nothing.
Right.
And
right.
You've got Biden's statement, grow back better, or whatever his stupid little
build back better.
Build back better. Yeah, you're building back better, all right. You're building this country out for illegals and forcing American taxpayers to become your grunts. And I want Americans to become more angry and make the decisions that are going to change this around, by voting the right people into office.
Right. I really pray for the people. I pray for our people with this decision, with CD4, with myself, and with my Republican opponents, and just around the country. Please be astute. Please be discerning.
Yes.
And make sure we're doing what's right, because this is a spiritual battle. This is for it all. And if we make the wrong decision on this, you don't have room for many more mistakes, because when they've shown us their hand right now, and this is pretty heavy, they're going to take it all after this. I mean, it's going to be over. And I believe that once people hear me speak and they see my platforms, and I would answer any questions that the people have. I would answer any and all questions. Matter of fact, I've told people before, I want you to vet me before you give me a dime. Don't give me anything. Don't tell people anything about me until you vet me. And I wish they would do that for every candidate. Do your vetting. And like I said, one of the best places to do is look on their social media and see what type of stances they're taking against corruption. If they're not taking a stance now, they're not going to take a stance then, because the same pressure, as you can see from that phone call from Kerry Lake and Jeff DeWitt, they're going to put that type of pressure on you. It's going to be financial pressure. It's going to be you getting reelected type of pressure. And you need somebody like me whose devotion is more to God and to the people than to those bureaucrats and those people that are unelected but yet running this country.
Right. I'm going to ask you one last question before I let you go. But how do you feel about one issue bills? That's a big problem back in DC, to where they have these mega bills to where all this crap is thrown in there. And, these research projects and, this bridge to nowhere and millions of dollars are just wasted. How do you feel about bringing something like that forward and pressuring these people into having one issue bills?
Yeah, I'm against the omnibus voting stuff. That is, they come in with a stack of stuff like this, and you got 3 hours to read it all. No one's reading that. That is a threat to national security. It's a real threat, because we're signing our approval on that, and we haven't even checked it out. It could be saying that we want to poison the water of Northern California. We want to poison the water of Arizona because there's a certain fish in there that we need to poison. But yes, some of the poison is going to poison the people. It could be anything like that. So we need to get rid of omnibus bills and go back to one issue voting. Yes, it's going to take some time. But that's what we're in Washington. That's what they would be in Washington for. We need to know what's facing the American people, and we got to take that job very seriously.
Well, and if it's one issue bills, it would be pretty hard to stand up there and say, I need $1 million to study why frogs croak. I mean, you'd be exposed, right, for the crowd that you're bringing forward, instead of having a straightforward bill that is beneficial to the American people. So.
They were sending money to India to study, like why frogs are gay, or why grass is green, or to support same-sex marriage or transgender stuff. America is not the evangelist for same sex. And that's when Obama went over to Africa and tried to encourage them to embrace same sex. I mean, why are we paying for that travel? We're not sending you out there to do that. We want to keep the world safe, not force them to accept someone's sexuality. Everyone is free to live their life. America's not telling you how to live your life. As long as you're not harming anybody or touching our children or committing any crimes, you can do what you want to do in your home. You understand? As long as you're not killing anybody. So the type of sex you want to have, you do that. But when you come out of the closet and try to force it on societies, now that is a problem. But that's what we've seen under the Democrats.
Right. So please let everybody know what your website is, Jerone, of where they can go. They've had a chance to hear you and know what your policies would be, and what the top issues are, what you would go back to DC and fight for, the benefit of the people of America and Arizona specifically. But tell us what your website is so people can go and donate and support you and get you into office.
I want y'all to help me with a movement. I'm asking everybody from around the nation, patriots, podcasters, to come to Arizona. Come to Arizona. Hashtag come to Arizona. We're going to knock doors. We're not going to wait on it. We're going to take it. We have to take this thing by force, and we have to put our actions where our mouth is. And there's no sense of complaining when you're just sitting on the sideline. You got to get in the game. Get in the game. Come out and help us pound doors before it gets too hot. And when it gets hot, I'm expecting the numbers to decrease instead of increase. But come on out and help us get doing it now. My website is JeroneForCongress.com, JERONE forcongress.com. Let us do it by faith and let us do it by force.
Thank you for joining me. And I'm so glad that my listeners were able to hear what your platform is and what you stand for. And just know that I support Jerone 100%. And I'm praying for your victory, Jerone. And you'll be my representative, which I'll be very, very happy about.
Thank you for having me on, Mary. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, everyone.
Talk to you soon. Well, I was so happy that he agreed to come on the show. I'm really a huge supporter of his. He is he's a wonderful man. And I really think that he has his finger on the pulse of the changes that need to be made in DC. And like I said earlier, he's the type of guy that can go and talk to an angry Democrat and talk to a misguided Democrat and really have an honest conversation with them and bring them around to understanding why things need to be different. And those are the kind of people that we really need to be supporting and taking back to DC. And he's got a strong backbone, and he will fight for us. That I'm sure of. He mentioned, the Kerry Lake and the Jeff DeWitt thing. We got some drama going on in the Arizona GOP here. Our Arizona GOP chairman it was exposed that he had gone to senatorial candidate Kerry Lake's house and tried to talk her into not running for the Senate earlier in 2023. And so that's kind of a little upheaval right now in Arizona. It's all over the news everywhere. But pray that things get settled here and the Republican Party gets back on track in Arizona, because this needs to be the year of winning in Arizona, the year that we turn Arizona red again and take back the Senate seats, take back legislative seats, make the Arizona state legislative stronger so that we're able to override a lot of the vetoes that Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs is doing, the veto queen governor, and get some things done here in Arizona, which would include some state laws that we can put into effect that would make crossing the border into Arizona have a state law that would make it a crime to even cross our border and come in here. And to also encourage our law enforcement to uphold the law and arrest the people that are transporting illegals through the state of Arizona. That is against the law. SB 1070, parts of that law still stand that Russell Pierce put through, and transporting illegals through the state of Arizona is one of them. So a lot of things touching on and before I wrap up, but I hope you all have a great weekend. I will be back next Tuesday on the 30th, And my guest on that day will be former ICE Director Tom Homan. So I hope you all join us and have a wonderful weekend.